And the last thing, the most important piece, is we're going to take the North and never give it back.
I've told you before, I'm a fan. This is our second meeting. You are nice, all right? You are nice with yours, all right?
I just want to shout out to Swift at Swift Sports Network.
What's up, Swift? This is Kyler Gordon. Just want to do a quick shout out to Swift Sports Network with all the latest news on the Bears.
You ain't speaking facts, we don't want to hear it. Yeah, we going for the dub. You are now watching Swift Sports.
The Bears.
What's up, guys? Chicago Bears have made another move, signing Pro Bowl, two-time Pro Bowl kick return man, Devin Duvernay. What's going on, guys? Let me go ahead and tell you what he brings to the Chicago Bears. I made a couple of quick graphics. Let me go ahead and pull those up on the screen. Cover that up. Boom! Devin Duvernay to the Chicago Bears. This guy is 5'11", 202 pounds. He was a third-round pick by the Ravens in 2020. Only 27 years old. Pretty athletic. A guy who scored a 7.86 on his RAS score with absolutely blazing speed. He ran a 4.38 40, and he's been an awesome kick returner and punt returner at the NFL level. He's a two-time Pro Bowl kick returner, both times with the Ravens. In his career, he's returned 88 punts for 1,053 yards, 0 touchdowns, a 12.0 average, and return kicks, he's returned 87 for 2,162 yards, 2 kickoff returns to the house, and a 24.9 average. This is hands down, I'm saying this without even thinking about it here, guys. Hands down, what, Duvernay? Wait, I've listened to his name called on announcers hundreds of times. What do you mean? How did I say it wrong? He's a guy who's a Pro Bowl kick return man and the best return man we've had in Chicago since the GOAT, Devin Hester. He's a better kick returner than either Cordero Patterson or who was the other guy we had? We had another guy who was pretty good. Tariq Cohen was pretty good as well, but definitely better. Duvernay, that's what I said. Devin Duvernay. Okay, here we go. He's a two-time Pro Bowl kick returner. He's also done a little bit of damage as a receiver. The last 2 seasons, he's not done much as a receiver, though. He has battled a little bit of injuries, but he had his career year as a receiver came in 2022. A guy who had 37 catches, 407 yards, and 3 touchdowns. On his career so far, he has just over 100 catches, just under 1,000 total yards, and 6 total touchdowns. Duvernay. Devin Duvernay. He has 5 in college. He was more of a receiver than a return man. This is where it's kind of interesting. Unlike Velus Jones, who was mostly used as a return man in college, this is a guy who was actually a primary receiver at Texas in college. In 2019, he had his big year. 106 catches, 1,386 yards, and 9 touchdowns his final year at Texas before the Ravens took him in the 3rd round of a draft. This is a guy, career at Texas, he had 176 catches, 2,468 yards, 16 touchdowns, and another 500 yards returning kicks. 2-time Pro Bowler. Awesome addition to our wide receiver room. Honestly, if I had to add one thing to this, it's probably bad news for Tyler Scott. I don't know how to feel about Tyler Scott on this one, because let me put it this way. Not only is this a guy who can return kicks and punts, but he's also a guy who can come in and be probably our 4th receiver and be ahead of where Tyler Scott's at right now. Sorry, mumble my words. I was trying to get back to my camera here. Devin Duvernay to the Bears. He's easily going to be our starting kick returner and punt returners. I'd say Oh, his measurables. I just had those up on the screen. I'll put them back up for you guys. Boop. 1 second. Devin Duvernay, he's 5'11", 202 pounds. He ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, 7.86 on the RAS score, only 27 years old. I'll go over the rest of his 10-yard split time was 1.56 seconds. His shuttle time was 4.2. His three cone was 7.13. He had a vertical jump of 35.5 inches and a broad jump was over 10. So, I mean, this guy, he's athletic, he's fast, but he's going to be a great kick returner. This is honestly what we needed for special teams. We're still going on about the enunciation. Do you think Poles will find a big body type receiver next? Listen, guys, DeAndre Carter's out. I like DeAndre Carter. It's definitely not disrespecting him. DeAndre Carter's not a 2-time Pro Bowl returner. He's nowhere near as fast as Duvernay is. This is a guy with home run speed who also spent time as a deep threat for the Ravens as well. They drafted him to come in with Rashad Bateman, and those two are supposed to be deep threats, helping out Lamar Jackson take his deep passing game to the next level. Injuries have held him back a little bit, but as far as being a kick returner, if you're not relying on this guy as a starting receiver like the Ravens had in the past, we're just bringing this guy in just to be a kick returner, kick returner and punt returner. He's going to come in and help us out, be a dynamic special teams guy, and also he adds some more depth to the wide receiver room. He's a guy who has over 400-yard receiving year. He's a guy who has speed. He can be a deep threat. If you want a guy who can come in and just stretch the field, now we already have our top 3 receivers: Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and then Olamide Zaccheaus. And then battling for that wide receiver spot, you would have Tyler Scott battling with Duvernay there. And then you also have Colin Johnson. That's our big-bodied guy on the roster right now. Let's see. Yeah, Olamide Zaccheaus can also do a little bit of returning as well. Ooh. I'm gonna have to get up a pronunciation. You guys are still saying I'm doing it wrong. I've listened. I've watched this guy's career. I don't know how I'm saying it wrong. I'm saying it how you're reading it, but we'll get it. We'll get it down. We got a new kick returner, Pro Bowler 2 times, a guy with absolute home run speed. I did kind of want Rondale Moore. I'll have to add this right now. I have to wonder how Rondale's physicals are checking out. I wonder if he's 100% healthy, because he's been to now 4 different teams and nobody's signed him yet. So you have to wonder what's going on with that. Yeah, Kiyu had a great point here. He's never had a punt return TD. He has taken some punt returns deep, but never taken one all the way to the house. He has 2 kick return touchdowns and a 2-time Pro Bowler. If this guy's healthy, he can be an instant contributor on special teams, and I think he'd instantly be our starter day one, both as our kick returner and punt returner. I also think this is a guy we probably signed for under $5 million a year, maybe even a 1-year, $2 million deal, somewhere around that. The details have not been announced yet, but I do not expect this to be one that breaks the bank, really. He is also visiting the Titans. Rondale Moore, I believe he's visiting the Titans today. He visited the Jets yesterday. So considering when a free agent receiver like that visits 4 teams and doesn't leave with a contract on any of those teams, and a guy who's had as many injuries as Rondale Moore has, to me, it makes me think he's not healthy, because the teams brought him in. They're interested in him, and something's not checking out there. So have to see what happens with Rondale Moore, but he's a guy who injuries have really hampered his entire career. But we got a Pro Bowl kick returner now, so we don't have to worry about this. This honestly, I think Ryan Poles is also, he's taken wide receiver off of our needs list. Could we still add a wide receiver at some point in the draft? Sure, we could, but we don't need one heading into the draft. We have our playmaker, DJ Moore. We have Romo Dunze, who's an X factor. Those are two awesome starting caliber wide receivers. Then you have Zakide Olamides as your slot receiver. Devin D is our kick returner, Pro Bowl guy who can return punts and kicks. He'll be battling for our wide receiver 4 with Tyler Scott, with also Colin Johnson, and anyone else we bring in as well. So we'll have competition there, but he's at least going to be active on game days because he's going to be our starting kick returner and punt returner. Yeah, I honestly don't think we draft a wide receiver now. I think with the 2 additions, it really depends how the draft falls. But it'd have to be someone who can fit. I still want to see what Tyler Scott has, and I don't think we've given up on Tyler Scott. I know a lot of people will see these additions and think, oh, I think, yeah, Little Plank just said it right there. Is Tyler Scott gone? Like, no, I don't think that's not the case yet. But we're not going to count on Tyler Scott to be a wide receiver 3 or a wide receiver 4. He has to go into training camp and win that battle. Now, he can easily beat out Devin and take the wide receiver 4 spot. And then when it comes down to Olamide Zaccheaus, he's a pretty accomplished slot receiver. I don't know if Tyler Scott can take that job, but he can at least if he comes into camp, has a good training camp, earns the trust of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson often uses 4 receivers. He mixes guys in and out. He did that with Josh Reynolds and Tim Patrick in Detroit. So it's not like he wouldn't get reps. If Tyler Scott is the player that he can be, we thought he could be coming out of college. His biggest issue in the NFL right now has been drops, but I wouldn't be so quick to give up on Tyler Scott yet. But he has to come in and have a good training camp, or he could be on the roster bubble. I still think he's on the roster at least one more season, probably as our wide receiver 4 or 5. Whether or not he's active on game day, though, that'll come down to what he does in training camp, what he does in preseason. Those are going to matter to whether or not he's on the roster and whether or not he makes an impact. But this is another huge signing, in my opinion, an underrated need here. Return man has been something that we've brought in some guys, but we've had struggles, especially at punt returner. We've had a ton of issues just getting guys to even catch the ball and hold on to it. So we've had a lot of issues in this department. A lot of guys have been brought in as short-term kind of Band-Aid guys. This is a guy who, if he stays healthy and he catches on, Duvernay is a guy who I think he could actually stay here long-term. I think if he has a great season, we could end up keeping him long-term as a return man. So this is, if he can stay healthy, which is a key if. He has had some injuries, nowhere near the amount of injuries that Rondell Moore has had, though. So don't get that confused here. This is not the Rondell Moore signing. Duvernay's 2-time Pro Bowler. He has been banged up over the last couple of years, though. But he's an awesome kick returner, home run speed, 4.38 speed. Just say it. I was saying it smoothly, and then you guys got in my head. You guys got all up in my head when I was trying to get all the information out, and you guys are messing me up on the pronunciation. I'm blaming chat for that, okay? But to me, this is an awesome signing, underrated. It's going to be a move that doesn't cost us a lot of money. A guy that I honestly expected Jacksonville to bring back. Why do you bring him in if you're not going to bring him back? But oh well, who knows how that goes over there. But I'm happy with this move, guys. Again, Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. A lot of people want to give Ben Johnson all the credit. I get it. We'll give it to whoever you want. I don't care. But we are filling the holes on this roster. And the closer and closer we get to the draft, the more options we have at pick 10. Let me see. I think I saw a couple people. We got all the planks in here. I saw someone ask, Swift, what are you doing there? Who do you take? Tyler Warren, Ashton Genty, or Abdul Carter? Listen, guys, that's not a question. Abdul Carter is that pick. I also saw this on Twitter, so I wanted to throw this out there while I'm live. Listen, if the only player in this draft worth trading up for, there's 2, Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. You do not trade up for Ashton Genty. You do not trade up for Tyler Warren. If Abdul Carter somehow, I don't believe there's any chance of this. I would bet money it does not happen. But if somehow, some way, Abdul Carter was on the board at pick 10, you take him and you leave it away. Great comment here by Tom. I'm about to end this in just a few minutes. I got a couple more things I wanted to address. But when you leave this, just check Devin's career highlights. Watch his kick returns. You can check him on YouTube. Give some of those YouTube highlight guys some views, and it would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, Q said it right here. You guys, if we ended up trading up for Ashton Genty, I would criticize polls. I would be mad. Look, I'd still be happy with the player, and I'd end up buying a jersey and stuff. But hey, you do not trade. That would be a huge mistake. You don't do it. Honestly, I don't think you trade up at all, no matter what. I think in this draft, you either let someone fall to us or you trade down. I think it's pretty simple. We're doing a great job of filling all the holes on this roster. Maybe a couple more small moves coming up in free agency. I don't think Keenan's coming back. Yeah, Keenan. To me, Keenan, here's the thing with Keenan Allen, guys. I don't think Keenan wants to be here. People have to remember this when it comes to free agents, right? Yeah, hey, Noah, great point here. Another Pro Bowler named Devin. With free agents, though, I don't think this is where Keenan wants to be. I think he gave it a chance last year, but I think Keenan Allen wants to go back to the West Coast. I see him either signing with the Chargers or maybe the Rams, but if those teams don't sign him, who knows where he goes. But I also think it was a smart decision. Look at the money we just invested into wide receiver. Just a couple of $1 million. And we got Olamide Zaccheaus and Devin Duvernay. So that's 2 receivers for probably 1/5 of the cost that Keenan Allen would take. And I like Keenan Allen. He's a Pro Bowl player. I'm glad we traded for him last year. I think he's a guy he probably taught. One of the things we can't overlook is having him here with Caleb Williams for a year. He really taught Caleb some things, and he really helped Caleb. So I'm happy with it, but I also didn't want to pay him $15 million a year. I also, Goro with a great question here. My man Goro, why do you think Tevin Jenkins hasn't signed? I put this thought out on Twitter the other day. You guys answer me this. Does anyone else here think that maybe, just maybe, Tevin wants to play tackle again? He talked about it once in an interview. He said it's a position he's always wanted to play. We moved him to guard. Tackles also make more money. I do think it's possible Tevin's checking out his market, but it's also, I mean, he's been injured. So I think his market probably right now is a 1-year deal. So when you're looking at a 1-year deal, he's probably going to be picky. But we saw the same thing with Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton just went and signed a 1-year deal. He was a guy, he probably thought he was going to get the same kind of money that Will Fries did, but no one's paying that kind of money for guards that can't stay healthy right now. Squeegee, Mike Green is definitely a stud pass rusher. He has he's the one guy who has some real off-field concerns. There's actual things, if you want to look up, just go listen to his combine interviews. He talked about it openly, but he has some accusations against him that I don't think we're taking him at pick 10. I have him kind of off my board a little bit right now. Let me see. Wait. We did re-sign Pryor. I haven't seen this. Do we re-sign Matt Pryor? Is this real? Or were you asking a question? Have not seen that yet. Do we probably have no shot at... I honestly think we could still sign a veteran pass rusher like Zadarius Smith. I think it comes down to... No, I don't think we re-sign Matt Pryor. I have not seen that yet. No. Unless it was happening right now, no. Have not seen anything like that. But like Knowledge said, he's probably looking for a starting job somewhere. Zadarius, I think when it comes to a veteran pass rusher, it depends on the market here. I don't think we have any chance of signing a guy like this before the draft, but after the draft, if a couple of those guys are still out there, a Zadarius Smith or one or two of those guys out there, the veteran guys who don't have a huge market, and Ryan Poles goes up to him and offers him a 1-year deal for, say, $5 to $7 million, there's a small chance. And they could come in and be a situational pass rusher and be like, look, your only job is to come in on third downs, get after quarterbacks. But we'll see how it goes. The Bears now have a new Pro Bowl kick returner, Devin Duvernay. This is a guy who home run speed. I think that's the name of the game here, guys. 4.3 speed. A guy who can come in and be a wide receiver, just take the top off defenses. He doesn't have to be a slot receiver. He doesn't have to be a number 1 or a number 2, but you bring him out for a few reps a game and you just send him flying down the field. You just send him flying. He either takes the top off the defense, and he's a guy who can occasionally get a deep ball. We know Caleb loves throwing the deep ball. This is a guy who, if they could build a connection, he could actually make an impact on offense as well. But the biggest reason he was brought here is to be a special teams guy. We've struggled in this department over the last couple of years. We haven't had a reliable punt returner, and we've been kind of up and down at kick returns. Like Velus Jones actually showed some flashes at times, but he was never an awesome kick returner. His rookie season was probably his best, but just never got it all together, couldn't hold on to the ball. Now we have a reliable return man. His name is Devin. We all know we love that name as a return man, 100%. She-Plank with the super chat. Don't forget to hit that like button. Appreciate you guys so much. But this is an awesome move, guys. This one's going to be underrated. Probably won't hear a lot of talk about this one, but it's a guy who he's going to be our starting returner immediately. He addresses that need. Now we can go into the draft with wide receiver checked off the draft list. Now, if a guy falls, if we get to the second round, I thought about this when I was doing mocks recently. If a guy like Luther Burden is somehow there in the second round, it's one of those things where, look, I would not be mad about taking a wide receiver. We're in a position right now with our second round picks where there's going to be impact players that nobody thought would be on the board are still going to be on the board at pick 39 and 41. Whatever position that is, Ryan Poles might pivot and just take an impact player there. So in a crazy world like that, where something like that happens and a stud wide receiver is there on day 2, I wouldn't rule it out. But I don't think we need to draft a wide receiver now at all heading into this draft. I think it's something that can be crossed off of this, crossed off of our needs. Oh my goodness, not so little Plank with the $10 super chat. He said, be sure to subscribe. Plank, what's this man doing? I love you guys. What a great family over there. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. Wait, what are we talking about with character concerns here? Hold on. What did I miss? With Mike Brown. Yeah, that's the thing though, but those are, see, the difference I was trying to discern there is people have mentioned character concerns with James Pierce Jr. And for me, what I like to say on that is, listen, I judge the player that's on tape, right? That's what I'm always doing. I'm judging what I see on tape, not the character of a player. That's up to the GM. But when it comes to something that's public and it's a public accusation that's against him and he's talking about it and addressing it in the public, it's a little bit of a different story. So I do like Mike Green as a player. I see a player who, despite his short arms, despite him being undersized, he is an incredibly productive pass rusher who always has a plan. He's explosive. He gets off the ball quick. He has bend. I still think Mike Green's probably going to go in the first round. But I love it, guys. This is character does matter, and that's one of the reasons I think people forget about that when they keep talking about Darnell Wright and Jalen Carter. When you compare Darnell Wright's character to Jalen Carter's, it's not even a question. Darnell Wright is just a great character of a guy. I got to address this one too. My man in the comments earlier, my man Chris Jones here says James Pierce Jr. is not a top 10 pick. And I got to give you, where's it at? It's a chart we have here of pass rush win rate since 2017. I'm sorry. Hey, Sinatra, I'm sorry. Devin D. It's our new kick returner. I'll watch ESPN highlights and get his name down pat after this, but this happened too quick. But the best pass rushers coming out of college since 2017. These are the highest pass rush win rates in the last 8 years, right? Nick Bosa is number 1. Number 3 is Abdul Carter. Number 4 is Liatu Latu. Number 5 is Jared Verse. Myles Garrett was number 8. Micah Parsons was number 9. It's a reliable indicator of success as a pass rusher in the NFL sometimes. Now, the guy who is number 2 on this list in the last 8 years of pass rush win rate, higher than Abdul Carter, higher than Jared Verse, higher than Liatu Latu, higher than Mike Green, higher than Myles Garrett, and higher than Micah Parsons is James Pierce Jr. So I don't get the hate for this guy. I don't understand why people are hating on James Pierce Jr. I have heard people say he has character concerns, but I haven't seen that on the film. To me, he's one of the top pass rushers on the entire draft, and definitely an option at pick 10. Top 10 sports. I've talked about Nick Amanawore. He's a guy who's going to have to play in the box. One of the best safeties in the draft. He's a guy, he's going to play near the line of scrimmage. He's going to be a strong safety. And if he came to the Bears, I talked about it, I think, with Glenn Morgan. I think if we drafted him, if he somehow fell to the second round, we would have to move Jaquan Brisker to free safety. Now, that could end up being a good thing. It could help him with his concussion protocol and all that stuff. So why isn't James Pierce Jr. going to be number 1 then, Swift? I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, his run defense, you got to, there are definitely issues in his game. I'm not saying he's a perfect prospect, but I'm saying when it comes to a pass rusher, and that's what you're looking for, a guy who in the NFL can be a sack artist. Now, he can bulk up, he can add more weight to his frame and become a better defender, but he's a guy who has all the talent as a pass rusher. And then Bears, I'll just one more thing about James Pierce. I don't know where the character concerns come from. Okay, I've talked to Greg Gabriel about this. I've reached out to some other people, and from what I've heard, the only thing that I've heard is that he didn't like talking to media guys. So media guys, he had an attitude with some guys in the media or something, right? Or he didn't like doing interviews. Those were the worst things I could find about James Pierce Jr. And I keep hearing from all these people who probably didn't even ask around or do 10% of the research I did, telling me that he has all these character issues. And to me, I'm like, what are these character issues? Just because he didn't want to do a couple interviews after losses at Tennessee? Like, he's a kid. So to me, I see Windy City Flyer said it here. Someone said he had extreme anger issues from his high school teammates. Now, see, I haven't heard it from any scouts. I haven't heard it from anybody behind the scenes. But look, if that is a thing, that's up to Ryan Poles to decide. To me, the player that I see on film from James Pierce Jr. is definitely worth a top 10 pick. So to me, I don't get it yet, but to me, that's up to Ryan Poles. If he has legit character concerns, then we probably won't pick him. But as far as the player that is on tape, that guy's a dog. That guy's a dog that can get after quarterbacks, and he's got a ton of talent. So that's my biggest issue with that, guys. We have a ton of stuff to talk about when it comes to the Bears in the draft this year. Right now, I would actually say James Pierce Jr. is in my top 4 of players the Bears are going to pick at 10. I'll be revealing that pretty soon. I'm narrowing it down to a final 4. The guys I believe are the top 4 prospects. Hey, Chris, I understand that, and that's a lot of reasons, and this is why I've talked about it. And this is why I haven't narrowed down to one prospect yet this year, right? It's to me, it's up to Ryan Poles. We have a lot of options there, right? I just think when we're looking at the options, what I'm trying to do for the fans, for you guys, for a lot of people don't watch as much tape as me or have as much time to study this and think about it. I try to narrow down the list and let you guys know the players I believe have the best chance of being selected and becoming Chicago Bears. And to me right now, James Pierce Jr. is one of those guys. Ashton Genty is one of those guys. And then there's a couple more options on the table. So when it all comes down to it, it's what Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson deem is best for this team. And I think there's a variety of options that could go this year. And I'm not going to argue about any of them. I think we're in a great position here. We're finally in win now mode. And all of our major holes on this roster have been filled. So we're ready to attack the draft, take the best player available. If a team offers something and wants to trade up, come trade up. We need extra picks. We'll take them. So I'm excited about this year's draft. And this is just another solid move. Let's get back to the main point about this. The Bears have signed a Pro Bowl kick returner, Devin D, to the Bears. I love it, guys. This is an awesome move. I think it's going to go underrated. Probably not going to be a lot of hype about this one. I don't think it should be hyped up. But filling out special teams and being able to win on all three phases of the football field, that's how you become a winner in the NFL. And with all of the holes on the field, on the most of the major holes on this roster now pretty much being taken care of, we're in a position now to get special teams linebackers like Amen Ogbongbemiga, and then bring in a Pro Bowl kick returner. And we have Torrey Taylor, who's a good punter. I actually wouldn't even rule out the Bears maybe bringing in a kicker like in round 7 to compete with Cairo. But I do think we're stuck with Cairo for one more year. We'll see how that plays out. But the Bears now have a Pro Bowl kick returner and punt returner, a guy who's one of the best kick returners in football, but he's also a very solid punt returner, something that's been a huge issue and need for the Bears over the last couple of years. I think this is a great move, guys. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this move. I appreciate everybody who stopped by the live stream. Also, She Plank and Not So Little Plank, the Plank family with the super chats. Much love to you guys. I'm excited. I think this is a great move. I have a couple more videos on the way. I actually had a great idea from someone. Someone messaged me the other day and said, Swift, look, I love your videos, but I've kind of been away this off season. And do you have one video that kind of catches up on all the off-season moves? So I am putting a video like that together because I know everybody doesn't click on every video. Everybody doesn't watch Bears content all year round. So if you guys know people like that only watch every once in a while, I have a video recapping our off-season on the way. I have some other stuff on the way as well. Also, I also joined Nomad Network the other night for a mock draft. Anyone who wants some extra content, I was on with the Nomad Network for a couple of hours on Sunday night, Nomad at Night. Check that out. I appreciate everybody who was here. I'll be back with more content later. Eric making me laugh before I go. Stay tuned, guys. Remember to hit the like button for me. And until next time,